ITV and Disney announced a new content sharing partnership. The Walt Disney Company and ITV announced today a new list of its kind initiative to carry each other's streaming services in the form of promotional selection, billed as a taste of ITVX and a taste of Disney Plus, respectively. The exciting initiative brings together two of the UK's most recognisable entertainment brands to expand viewer choice and celebrate the best of British and international storytelling, marking a further milestone in the Walt Disney Company and ITV's long-standing relationship. Starting 16th of July, so about 4 days from now, a curated and regularly refreshed selection of hit shows and movies from Disney Plus and ITVX will be available to viewers on both platforms. The agreement showcases ITV and Disney's world-class content to each other's complementary audiences, extending reach and allowing more viewers to discover Disney Plus and ITVX. Disney Plus customers in the UK will be able to stream some of ITV's most acclaimed scripted and unscripted content. This includes multi-award-winning drama Mr. Bates vs. the Post Office, espionage thriller Spy Among Friends, selected series of the reality hit series Love Island, popular drama favourites like Endeavour, Vera, and Karen Pyrie. At the same time, ITVX viewers will be introduced to a rotating rail of Disney Plus shows and movies titled A Taste of Disney Plus, updated regularly to reflect the breadth of Disney's global storytelling. The selection in coming months includes critically acclaimed award-winning titles from the first season of FX's The Bear, Lucasfilm's Andor, and Only Murders in the Building, to selected reality series including Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and The Kardashians, plus family favourites including Lilo and Stitch the series and Phineas and Ferb. A Taste of Disney Plus will be available to all ITVX viewers at no cost and ad-free on ITVX Premium. So the TLDR of this seems to be that ITVX and Disney Plus are entering kind of a shared agreement where they will both kind of reach into each other's catalogues and both will get some exclusive content from the respective services each. So ITVX will get things like Andor, and Disney Plus will get things like, Love Island and Mr. Bates vs. the Post Office. That seems to be the initiative as it exists. Now, obviously, I've seen a lot of people talk about this in relation to Doctor Who. Obviously, Doctor Who, we are currently waiting on whether the Doctor Who and Disney Plus deal will be renewed. Obviously, it's looking likely that it won't be. I will say, I have seen some people frame this as the smoking gun of Doctor Who not being renewed at Disney, and I that puzzles me a little bit because there isn't really anything in this that suggests that like ITVX and Disney Plus collabing on a few shows and having like a slightly shared catalogue really does anything to the Doctor Who deal at all. I mean, I've seen certain commentators bring up that ITV and BBC are competitors, which they are, but they've not exactly been the most stringent of adversaries for the longest time. This isn't really like a Nintendo Sega situation where they are out for blood. ITVX and BBC originally partnered up for BritBox, let's not forget, which obviously didn't last. But it's obvious that they are, and in fact some BBC stuff, some older BBC stuff from the BritBox deal has been merged into ITVX. For example, weirdly, you can watch Only Fools and Horses on ITVX. So it's not like there's this huge, there is a rivalry, but it's very much to do with TV ratings. When it comes to streaming stuff, I don't really think that this affects whether the Doctor Who deal will be renewed or not. If anything, I think this is interesting for a few reasons. One, part of me wonders if rather than Doctor Who exclusively being renewed, we could see a similar deal to this, but on the BBC's end. It's noteworthy that I believe this only applies to the UK. So, this isn't an international initiative. This is a UK exclusive initiative. And obviously, one of the big stipulations of the existing Doctor Who Disney deal is that Disney only get the back catalogue internationally, rather than in the UK, which is the big market. So I'm wondering if maybe that's the future of it, rather than just having a deal for Doctor Who where they're them teaming up for a more broad BBC-Disney partnership could be a potential second option. Alternatively, again, as I said, it could just mean literally nothing for Doctor Who. City of Death reached 19 million views because of the ITV outage. That is very true, but of course, those were very different times. Of course, that is back when there was literally, 3 channels? And obviously, back in them days, that meant that the rivalry meant a lot more. I think more than anything, this is a indication more broadly of where the streaming landscape is going to go, because I think that what the last few years have taught us is that if you have too many streaming services vying for a position, they will eventually cannibalize each other. Ironically, it's one of the few markets where having one single monopoly kind of was the benefit of the consumer, because back when it was just Netflix, everything would be on Netflix. Now, it's segmented across like tens of different services, which obviously led to worse value for consumers and just generally making it more confusing and hard to find the shows that you want to watch. So I think that we will probably start seeing more initiatives in this vein, where these companies start to eventually merge their offerings together. I think that's probably fairly likely. If Phineas and Ferb is going back to ITV, will ITV get the new season of Phineas and Ferb? I don't know. I think what happened was Disney initially approached the BBC with this partnership and the BBC said no, which is why this deal happened instead. Do we have any source for that? Not that I'm discounting that. I would just be very curious if that was the case. That would be very interesting. So yeah, interesting stuff. Again, I don't think this is really the smoking gun people have acted like it is. To be honest, I think people are kind of just looking for anything as kind of, evidence one way or the other, when the reality is, we just don't really know. We just don't really know, to be completely honest. Hopefully soon we do, though. Obviously, I covered in a previous video Tom Spilsbury, who works at Doctor Who magazine, saying, in his opinions, obviously take it with a grain of salt, but his opinion is that, it may be, 4 or 5 years before the show could come back, which, I very much wouldn't want to be the case, but I think that's why my kind of hope and optimism for the show is basically just like at an all-time low. It's not particularly high. If Disney hadn't screwed up the air times, this wouldn't have happened. I do think that one of the big reasons why this era underperformed is the air times. I think that's a huge part of it. Beyond whatever conversations we want to have about RTD2, and believe me, there are many mistakes in the script, I think that it was borderline sabotage to air it at midnight in the UK. I genuinely do. I think that was a terrible decision, and I thought it was a terrible decision from the moment they announced it. And I remember seeing there was like a social media post they put up of all the different times it was going out in different regions, which led to so much confusion among people. I remember trying to explain to my family, no, it is on TV at the normal time, but also you can watch it from midnight. And then obviously it got changed then again to, as you say, EVR, 8 a.m. then for season 2, which led to further confusion. Because the thing is, at least with, obviously I didn't agree with the midnight thing either, but at least with the midnight thing, you can kind of see the logic of midnight is kind of event television, it kind of is hyping it up. 8 a.m. is not the time for a big show. I know that you could say that, the Marvel shows come out 8 a.m. here, which maybe they do, I don't know. But even still, I just think that that's kind of a bizarre time. I don't know, I just think that's kind of bizarre. When I think of 8 a.m., I think of Saturday morning cartoons. You know what I mean? I don't think of, prestige or, big dramas. I think of, Saturday morning cartoons and obviously watching Thomas the Tank Engine on Milkshake as a little kid.